Welcome to Mom's True Tea, the podcast where moms can spill the true tea on various thought-provoking topics and challenge beliefs about motherhood and life authentically, unapologetically, and without judgment. I'm your host, Kendall Lasha Williams. Hey, welcome to another episode of Mom's True Tea podcast, but this is going to be a little bit different. I decided to read some of the emails and the direct messages that I receive on a regular basis from parents. And I appreciate each and everyone's engagement with me and that you feel comfortable sharing your experiences with me. I decided to shed some light on what parents are going through. You know, there's always this discussion and talk around what children go through. And when I talk about children from my perspective, let me be clear. I'm speaking about adults and I'm speaking about teenage children. And the generations seem to be millennials and Gen Z. And there's nothing against those generations. I just recognize that there's a different dynamic in parenting and the hierarchy in this day and time that we're living in, which needs to change because there's too much going on in this world for people not to have relationships with family. And when I say that, I mean family that's positive. I'm not trying to have anyone stay in relationships with any toxic family dynamics because I don't deal with that either. But yeah, I wanted to read some of my listener emails and some of the direct messages anonymously, of course, and give them feedback because they always ask for my advice and my guidance, and I can only guide you from my experiences. I also want to highlight some of the people that insert themselves in the comments on my content that don't listen or they don't comprehend, and it's either a man or it's that younger generation that I mentioned. So let me start with one of the letters that I received back in January. And this young lady reached out to me and she said, "Do you have any support groups?" And just so you know, Mom's True Tea is a support group. It is a community. If you want to subscribe to my Patreon, please do so. You'll be able to get additional content and one-to-one coaching as well. And again, I never say I'm anybody's therapist. When I'm speaking from a parent who has pretty much experienced everything as it relates to parenting. So I'm speaking on my experiences, not from a professional perspective. So I want to be very clear on that. But back to this original post. This young lady reached out to me, and again, everybody's going to be anonymous. She said, "Do you have any support groups? There's so many of us going through this, not just everyday people, but celebrities. I'll be sure Master P and many other parents really did well by their children, need someone to be able to talk to. My daughter has been very disrespectful, and I told her she was going to stop. And then in return, she said she wasn't speaking to me. And she has taken up with her father and acts as if I'm the one who treated her poorly." My response to that, and some of y'all may not like this because I typically get messages like, "You're a horrible mom." No, I'm just an honest mom. And I'm also a mom who doesn't take any shit because I've been through so much shit. So yeah, argue with your mama, not me. I said, let her stay right where she is. And when her dad has pissed her off, let her still stay until you, as the mother who she treated poorly and disrespected, are ready to receive her. You did right by calling her out on her disrespect. And again, my community is to support parents in general and provide more resources to them so they feel like they're being heard and being seen, because often that's the problem. So to this mother, again, daughter disrespected you, left her home and went to go stay with her dad, let her stay there. That would be my advice. And he's going to piss her off, and then she's going to try to come back home to you as well. But choose to do so on your terms, not hers, because they also have a way of manipulating both parents, especially if you and that father are estranged. So keep that in mind, okay? All right. Then there's this next one that came in. This one was related to sons who are married, and the daughter-in-law is now causing issues between the parent. And she sent me this video, and the video was basically saying that when you get married, your spouse comes first and everybody else comes secondary. And I completely agree with that. My husband comes first in my household. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care how anybody else runs their home. My husband comes first, and that will never change with me. So with this mom, she said the daughter-in-law was making her son become estranged. And I told her very clearly, no, your son is responsible for fostering the relationship between you, him, and his wife. However, his wife does come first. If my sons were married, and even in their relationships with girlfriends, I don't get involved. I mind my business. And I feel like mothers who are super attached to their sons, and then these daughter-in-laws come along and that dynamic changes, they really struggle with that. Now, granted, some daughter-in-laws are manipulators. Some daughter-in-laws are going to try to cause hell between the son and the mom. However, his wife comes first, good, bad, or indifferent. And we just have to stay out of it and mind our business in hopes that he will man up and he will foster and bridge that gap in the relationship so you guys can come together. She probably didn't like it, but that's what it is. Then I got another email, and she said, I found your content so helpful and uplifting. I have an estranged son, which is a long and honestly kind of hard to believe story. The long and short of it is everything was fine when he went to college. And then within a few months, he started telling me I abused him by having him circumcised. Now, wait a damn minute. Now, this is crazy. Yeah, you heard me. She said he was abused because his mother circumcised him. He completely turned against me and the rest of our family. For years, he would text or call me, wanting me to cry and apologize again, or tell him in detail how I felt, knowing I had abused him and participated in child genital mutilation. Y'all have got to stop this shit, because this is crazy. Finally, I just told him I couldn't take this anymore and stop responding. I recently heard from family members about some blatant lies he tells in reference to child abuse. They were my other children who laughed at him and told him those things never happened and he needed to stop. Here's the thing. I still feel guilty for not continuing to try to fix it. I feel bad because now the thought of being around him after the hateful and sometimes threatening things he said literally makes me sick. I had the opportunity recently to go where he was, and I refused because I honestly don't trust being around him. Now, first of all, I wouldn't either, because if he has made up blatant lies that you know to be false, and your other children can verify that they're false, he has a problem, and it's not your problem. You should not continue to feel guilty or continue to apologize for doing what a doctor recommended you do, or probably just did it because back in the day, there wasn't really any ask to circumcise your children. You just did it. But I think it's crazy that he continues to try to force you to apologize for something that's in his best interest. So my response to her was, well, I had to really take a moment to digest what you shared about your son, and I want to be empathetic, but it infuriated me because he has made her a villain in this untruthful story, which seems to be the running trend with majority of these adult children that are now going no contact with their parents and claiming abuse over the most simple things. When there are people like myself who have actually been abused. I have been beat with extension cords. I have been beat with switches. I got my ass beat for getting stung by a wasp, not because the wasp stung me, but because I had on my good Sunday shoes at school and I wasn't supposed to wear them. I've experienced abuse. My mother and I have talked about it. She's apologized. I've moved forward, even if she didn't apologize. But the fact that he would try to force his mom and guilt his mom into continuously apologizing for something of this nature, it's wild to me. So I told her, let go of the guilt and let go of the guilt of not speaking with him, okay, until he comes to his damn senses, because he clearly has lost it. And her response to me, of course, was she was in tears and thank you. And I don't need to be thanked. I just think it's crazy. Again, the fact that people would share their heart with me and feel confident enough to do so, thank you. I want you to know that I'm humbled. I'm overwhelmed at times, but I am humbled. And I'm glad that you feel safe to have these conversations with me, because that was the whole purpose of my platform, to create a safe, authentic, unfiltered, and non-judgmental platform for parents. I got another one, and she simply said, thank you. I came across your IG profile, which led me to your website in episode 15. I don't remember what that episode was. I'm sorry. But episode 15, and of course you can stream the podcast on all your streaming platforms and go look at them on YouTube as well. She said, for the first time, I felt understood and heard. My adult son punched me and is abusing his own partner. But because he is financially well off and successful, he's surrounded by flunkies. I really, really need support. I've been ostracized and isolated and in a deep depression over the emotional and physical abuse of my son. I would never imagine this could happen to me at the hands of my own son, especially because of the level of sacrifice and support that I've given my life. Please contact me. Please, please. I said to her, I read your message and it was quite unnerving. First, I want to say thank you again for finding me and reaching out. Are you safe? Because that was my first thought, because she's being abused by her adult child, and not just verbally, physically. So I wanted to make sure that she was safe. I asked her, did she file a police report? Because that is very necessary, but it's also difficult because mothers don't want their sons to get in trouble, especially Black mothers. We live in a time where our Black men aren't safe when it relates to the police. So I can understand why she wouldn't have filed a police report, because again, we're still very protective of our children, regardless of them treating us like shit. So I did tell her to make sure she filed a police report. And I actually also told her to stay away from him because he's not safe. If he has the audacity to be so bold to abuse his mother and simply thinks that because he has money, he's untouchable, she needs to stay away from him. Of course, she came back and she sent me a very, very long message, but she feels like she's been in this cycle of abuse with him. She needs to stay away from him. And that was my advice to her. There's so many other emails. I can't even get into every single one of them right now, but I will get into some of the DMs and the chats that I also receive from women. And this young lady said, my daughter, every time she sees me, she says she's going to whip my ass. Like, what is happening? Is it the weed? Are y'all smoking some bad shit? Or is it the water? Like, what is happening? And I don't even think some of you adult children realize mentally what's taking place for you to have the audacity and the gall to threaten your parents. And the reason why I have so much passion around this is because I've been on the receiving end of my younger son threatening me. My older son, we definitely have had words. We have had disagreements, and he has gotten disrespectful with his words as well. However, he has never in his entire life, and he's 34 years old, threatened to harm me like my younger son has. And see, what you don't realize is the trauma that some of us as your mothers have experienced. Again, I came up in a home where I was beat and not just spanked and punished. And I wasn't a bad kid, so I didn't deserve it. I witnessed my father being violent towards my mother from the age of 5 on up. Then I think my mother was angry. So our relationship was very toxic and traumatic for quite some. Thank God we're in a much different place, and I adore my mom and we're best friends. But to actually say that you're going to beat your mama's ass every time that you see her, yeah, that's a problem. And I told her in true Gen X fashion, and I'd be ready for her at every single time. The audacity. But I also told her, do not take those words lightly, because parental abuse episode that I did last year with a guest of mine whose sister was murdered by her son as she got up to go to work, and her son at the age of 17 at that time stabbed her to death. So I don't take threats lightly. Therefore, when you threaten me, I stay ready. I stay ready, and my house stays ready. So how you come is on you. How you leave is on me. The next person, she said, I love your content. The facts you share hit home on so many levels. She asked me if we could chat, and we did, because some women, they want to call and talk to me because it's too much sometimes to just say this in writing or text. And I do. I sit and I have these conversations with them and these calls with them, but I do offer coaching. You do need to subscribe to my Patreon or set up some one-on-one coaching with me. I had another young lady. She responded from an episode that I did with a young man who said his mom was a narcissist. And I say, well, my son is a narcissist. So we had an amazing conversation. I'll give you his information, but you can see the clip about our show that we did together, the episode we did together on narcissism, parent versus a child. And this young lady in my Instagram, she said, wow, my daughter used my childhood trauma. My mom was in a relationship with a druggie. I told my daughter this and explained why I never smoked and I hated drugs. The moment she turned stranger to me at the age of 18, she started contacting authorities stating I was a user and they need to come and get me. Meanwhile, I had my other child under the age of 10 home with me. Of course, no action was taken because my lifestyle is clean as a whistle, being as though I know I wanted different as an adult. But that was my last hurt that hit me to the core, and I promised myself never again. I refuse to ever look at her the same. I don't pass judgment on this mom. She shared her past experiences because, y'all like to say, oh, we don't know what happened to y'all because y'all don't give a damn. Like, let's keep it real. These new generations, you all do not care what your parents have experienced. And my father was a drug addict for many, many years, and that was very traumatic. So I understood where she was coming from as someone who came up in that environment. Then she shared her heart and her experience with her daughter, only for her daughter to weaponize it against her. And then contact the authorities and lie on her and say that she was the one doing drugs. That is diabolical. That's diabolical. That, when I say that's some nasty work, that is definitely some nasty work. And I told her I would never speak to her again. And that's on everything, because she's dangerous. If your child can make up blatant lies, which I hear that quite a bit about you, and it's not that we forget, because some young lady was in my comments saying, oh, that sounds like y'all have amnesia. No, baby, we don't have amnesia. We know exactly what the hell we did and what we did not do. My advice to her was stay away from her. I would not engage with her unapologetically. And she got no judgment from me by sharing that information with me. The next one that came in, she said, thank you for your empowering posts. I have one adult son, 41, and 3 adult daughters, 38, 33, and 29. I'm at my wit's end with my daughters' rudeness, disrespect, and gaslighting that I'm receiving practically on a day-to-day basis. And it has affected my health, my stress, and I have high blood pressure. They invent stories and lie about their childhood. I raised them as a sole parent from when my son was 16. I feel powerless to challenge as one or the other will say one of the others thinks the same. So it's like all of them against me. I gave them everything. I had holidays, clothes, experiences for them. And now it amounts to nothing. I experienced domestic violence from their father, and the abuse I get from my daughters is equal to having broken ribs or black eyes. I'm so frustrated, tired, fed up, pissed off, and angry. But I don't really speak on how I feel, don't even really challenge the lies for fear I don't get to see my grandchildren that belong to my daughters. And that's another thing. A lot of you are using grandchildren to manipulate and control your parents. And that's dirty. That is low down and dirty, especially when you know your parent has been good to you and you know you're making up these stories, but you also know that grandchildren, they hold a different place in our heart and a special place in our heart. And anyone that could use a grandchild and weaponize that grandchild against their parent, that's low. That is low. But it also broke my heart to hear how this is impacting her health. And my response, as always, number one, thank you for feeling safe to share. I asked if they still lived with her. She didn't come back and respond because I said, if they do not live in your home, I would not deal with them. And if they do live in your home, I would get them the hell out. Because how dare you live in my home and disrespect me, abuse me, and lie to me? And I'm hearing this so frequently. I'm hearing this so frequently as these people are so casually and comfortably putting their hands on their parents. Like, that's wild to me. But, I wish her the best. She hasn't come back and responded. And, again, stay away. Stay away. I'm going to say that to the day I die. If you are in a relationship with your children and they're threatening you, they're abusing you, they're causing you any harm, health related, mentally, physically, emotional, whatever, stay away. And then what happens is you all feel like you can treat your parents however you want to. You can abuse, you can disrespect, you can toss us away until you need us again. You can alienate us from our grandchildren. Well, not my experience, because thankfully, my grandson, he's 7 years old. His mom and I have a really good relationship now that she's not with my son. And I'm going to keep that all the way 100. But, so we don't have that dynamic, and I'm thankful for that. But if we did, I would never allow someone to manipulate me or weaponize my grandchild against me. You can file for grandparents' rights in some states, I believe. You can file for custody or visitation, not custody, as it relates to grandparents' rights. And that's even if you want to fool with it, because y'all also think y'all children, grandparents are absolutely over the moon and want to be engaged with little kids all the time. And I'm going to tell you, that ain't true. At least it ain't for me, because I finally getting to live my life. I'm an empty nester. My husband and I would love to travel. We love to enjoy our time. And I love my grandbaby, and we love when he comes and visit. He's 7 years old and amazing. But yeah, we're not held hostage to grandkids. Because I noticed that too. A lot of y'all like to manipulate and control your parents with the grandkids, and that ain't cool. And I had another young lady. She reached out to me. She said, again, thank you for your amazing work. It's truly spoken to me. I haven't spoken to my 25-year-old daughter since August 30th of last year. And for love, not money, I was given custody of my youngest daughter's son, my grandson 2 years ago, and my eldest was meant to be my support network. So if I needed a break, she would take her nephew for a couple of days. However, she's never taken him. And when I asked for the first time for her to help me and take him so I could have some time out for myself for the first time in 18 months, that daughter blocked her. She said, I came across one of your rules today and now I don't feel shitty. I just wanted to thank you for making me feel better and get a different perspective on things. And I said, I'm glad you found me. As always, I'm always very grateful and I'm humbled. I told her she wasn't alone, but I sent her love and light. And now that you know that you can rely on that other daughter that committed to help you with your grandson, now you know you can't depend on her. So unfortunately, here you are raising another child, although you're probably in years that you wanted to finally start enjoying your life. You're taking on the responsibility of your other daughter's choices. And I did an episode on that as well. We have got to stop becoming responsible and trying to take on the consequences from our children's choices. But I know that's a hard one when it comes to your grandkids. I definitely know that. I mean, listen, again, I get so many messages and I am truly humbled by so many women feeling comfortable enough to have conversations with me, and even a couple dads as well, because, hey, we're all parents. And if you're a single parent or you're a parent that's on the receiving end of what's happening with this no contact and this disrespect and this abuse from your child, Mom's True Tea is for you as well. It definitely is for you. Like I said, I have hundreds of messages and hundreds of emails and, of course, comments that come into my content on videos and etc. And I hear every single one of you and I see every single one of you. I even see the ones that come in there with the projecting comments. And you like to say you hear, but y'all ain't. I can hear it in your responses because healed people don't respond in the manner in which you all do. Healed people also can listen and also comprehend and not just speak to be heard. I'm always open to have conversations with anyone. I'm not opposed to anyone having a different opinion, but what I am opposed to is when you all come into my comments and accuse mothers of being bad moms. I also take issue with grown men, mostly black men, because white men don't get up in my comments. But black men, y'all come in with the most nasty, most vitriol comments. First of all, you're inserting yourselves in women's business, which is weird in itself. Second, you're not a mom. Third, either you're the parent that abandoned a child and you're angry and don't want to take responsibility for that, or you mad with your own mamas and you need to go heal. Whatever your healing needs to look like, that's where y'all need to go, because you need to stop inserting yourselves in women's businesses and not understand or come with any type of empathy or willingness to support or add any value. You just come in with these daft, nasty comments. But to all the women, again, that come in my comments and that say thank you, all the women that share their hearts, all the women that email me, I wanted to do this episode specifically for you because I hear you. I see you. I understand you. I don't only empathize, I sympathize with you because I am that mother. I'm that mother that has been dealing with abuse and disrespect from my younger son for 20 years now. That's a long time to be dealing with abuse and trauma from a person that you love very dearly. And they can't see the error of their ways because they're too busy blaming you for everything that they're failing at in life that's not going their way. My son is stuck as a 9-year-old, clearly, who got angry because his parents got divorced. But I refuse to stay in a toxic, abusive relationship, especially with the fact that I came up in abuse. Then I got into a marriage that became toxic and abusive. And only for my child to be abusive? That's a hell no for me. All day, every day. I hope that my son gets the help that he needs. I hope that he gets the healing that he needs. Not so much to repair a relationship, but to fix whatever is broken in him that I have been trying to fix for many, many years that I didn't break. He needs to take it up with whomever, not with me, not with someone who's stood in his corner, who's been there for him through ups, downs, good, bad, forgiven, all of that. This younger generation, you're very comfortable threatening your parents and mostly your mothers. And that's sad to me. You don't recognize the covering that a mother has for you. And again, let me be clear. I know all moms are not great. I know there are some horrible parents out there, but don't impose that onto good parents. And definitely don't come in my comments and say the nasty things that you all say about parents and about myself, because you're projecting. If you say you're healed, let that be reflective. I think I'm going to do this again. Send me your comments. Continue to send me your emails. As you guys know, I try to get back to you very quickly. Sometimes I really just have to take a minute because I'm an empath, so I feel everything. So I have to really protect myself. And also, let me know where you guys are. Send me some DMs and let me know where you're located. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your life and your hearts with me. And I that the Most High will continue to make me an answer. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so blessed to have a community where I can show up as my most authentic self because I don't know what else to be. Don't forget to favorite the show, leave a review, and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite streaming platforms to stay up to date on new episodes. Subscribe to my newsletter at momtalks.com. Follow us on all socials at MUMSTRUETEA, and be sure to share and stay tuned for more thought-provoking topics and real talk on Mom's True Tea with Kendall Lasha. Until next time, remember, you need you just as much as anyone else, so stop playing about you, okay? Bye.